Pods on pods on pods on pods. My name's Greg. You're watching How to Play Paintball. Alright guys, so ultimately, like I've said before, paintball can get expensive, let's face it. So I wanted to go over a couple of the different pod options that you have and my personal opinion. Now, like I said, this is my opinion on these pods. You might use one that I'm not a big fan of and love it. So by all means use it. I'm gonna preface that with, or preface this video with that. But I wanted to go over some of the different options that you have out there and the different things that you'd be able to use. All right, so first one, and sorry if they're a little bit dirty, I have been using them, is the Valcon Pod. Now, this is probably one of my least favorite pods. Reason being is that they are super easy to open up, which can be a good thing, you know, to be able to pop it open. But the issue that I've run into with these pods is that they're not the most sturdy pod. They are gonna be a little bit cheaper, but if I'm diving in and I kind of hit the ground a little bit harder, sometimes the lid will pop open and now I've lost all that paint. So my personal opinion on these is that it's not really a buy option. Now, if this is all you can get, go for it. Maybe you have better experience with these. My personal opinion is that I'm not a huge fan of them. It's not something that, even though it might be a little bit cheaper than some of the other options I'm gonna go with, sometimes it's better to go with the higher option. Sometimes with paint, you know, it's good to go with the lower end stuff as long as it shoots straight, because all you're doing is shooting targets. If you find these and you just want to go ahead and just have paint in your pack or whatever, use them. But my personal opinion on the Valcon pods, they're really not the best one to go with. All right, next one up is definitely a little bit more expensive, but the dye pod. Now, with the dye, they went away with the lock lid. I don't know if they make them anymore, but those were super sturdy. My opinion is that they've taken that sturdiness and put it into a pod that's a little bit easier to use. It's a little bit more user-friendly when you're popping it open. Definitely a very sturdy pod. The only downside is when you play paintball, you're usually gonna lose your pods. So it's kind of up to you. If you can get these in different colors. I know that they have like smoke, red, blue. There's probably a clear option. If there's a red one that you like to use, or you want to put tape around it or something so that way you know that it's your pod so you can get it at the end of the game, it's definitely good to go with. This is definitely an extremely sturdy pod. It's one that is going to not just, you know, fall out of your pack or whatever. I think they do hold a little bit more paint. Could be wrong on that one, so don't quote me on that. But they are very sturdy. You can feel how sturdy they are. Also, when you open it up, and sorry that there's a little bit of paint in there, the spring is really good as well. You can also see that it has a lot thicker of a lid. It's definitely just a good sturdy pod. Another good thing is that it has this little lip in here, so when you're, you know, spinning it around to find where it is, it's easy to find that because of that little tab there. That's where that tab goes ahead, and they have just that little notch there, so it's just easy to pop open. I feel like this is a good pod for that balance between a very sturdy pod, where it might take a little bit more effort to open, but it's not going to be popping open when you take a hard dive. And you want to get a pod that you know is going to last a while, unlike maybe like the Valcon pods. It's definitely a good buy for that. All right, so another one of my least favorite, the Empire pod. Now, the good thing with the Empire pods is sometimes you can get the ones that have the little tri opening, where it has 3 different areas that you can pop it open. I do like that. It's a good little feature. It just seems though that whenever I use these, they always pop open in my pack, and it's not good. You want to be able to have all your paint with you. Sometimes that last pod could mean the difference of having paint to win a point or even an event. They are going to be a little bit cheaper. They do have a little bit more sturdiness to them, so you can take the good with the bad. They're not my favorite pod to use. Now, are they terrible? Much like the Valcon pod, you can make it work. Sometimes I'll put these lid up on like the side of my pack, so that way it's one of the first ones that I'm grabbing, so that way I'm not really worried about it. Or what I'll do is if I have to use these, I'll same thing with the Valcon ones, I'll put it in the actual strap so that the strap is pulled up against it, so that way it's holding the lid. So even if the lid does open a little bit, when I go to open it, I can grab that pod and it's not going to dump out, and I can go ahead and dump in the paint. So probably one of my favorite pods is the Gen X Global. They've been around, I don't even know how long, but their pods are just kind of like the one that everybody tries to copy. It's a pod that's very sturdy. It's going to last you a long time. So the good thing with the Gen X pods is just it has, I just feel like they've perfected the pod. I really can't describe it any other way. It's not too expensive, but you are going to get what you're going to get the quality that you pay for. So it has just enough, I feel like, just the right amount of tension to hold the pod down. I don't think I've really had these pop open unless I take a super hard dive and it's just like just the right conditions. Also, like I'd mentioned, they're very sturdy. It's definitely a good pod to go with. All right, and last but not least is actually a new pod that has come out from Virtue, their base pod. This is their kind of like lower end, I don't want to say lower end, but they're kind of like entry level paintball stuff. But I know Damage, I think, is using these pods, and I was able to get one, and I'm actually pretty impressed with them. They are, I think, a little bit more expensive. What I do like about them is that they have that sturdiness like the Die Pod and the Gen X pod, but they have what I feel is just about the right amount of, again, with the lip. But the spring is actually very strong, so you're not gonna have to worry about it kind of sitting on top or not going high enough, and then like part of the lid goes into the hopper, things like that. One of the things that I like most about it is that little thing right there. This is actually just a little foam piece, so that way when you're closing it onto your paint, it's not going to crush it, and also it's going to absorb some of that impact when you're diving. So it's, I feel, a really good feature. I think it's something that somebody, for all you old people out there, Toxic Paintball had back in the day. They had sort of like a Gen X pod, and they had just a little disc of foam. I thought it was a great addition. It's something that's going to help if you have more fragile paint, so that way you can still go and play hard and not have to worry about breaking paint in your pod. I do believe that these do have a little bit more paint capacity, so it is going to hold more. Most pods are going to hold like 120, 140. I believe that these do carry a little bit more paint. So if that's something that matters to you, it could be worth looking into. It is kind of weird because it's kind of a square pod. Most of the time they're circular. So yeah, ultimately my thing is I would personally go with Gen X. Strictly for the fact of being able to go have a pod that is durable while also not breaking the bank, and it's just all around has pretty much everything you're looking for. But tell me what you guys think. What's a pod that you like? Is there one that you like over another? Do you disagree with me? That's totally fine if you do. So go ahead and put that in the comments down below. But I hope that this video helps you guys out. I know it's kind of a weird topic about pods, but hey, even the weird things we need to talk about and make sure that everybody gets that all down. But as always, guys, remember, watch, learn, win. Thanks.